Yeah, whatever works for you, dude.
Excellent. Hey, people, we've got another amazing artist on Duggystone Radio's Introducing, and we're going to bring him straight on screen now, and we're going to get to know him, and he's going to tell us all about what he's up to. We call him the king of collaborations. I think that's what he's being noted as at the minute. And introduce yourself, dude.
Hello, I'm Sean Buckley at Mint Ball. Yeah, and I've been given that moniker by people recently, which I quite like. It's nice to be known for something.
I mean, that's pretty cool to be known as the king of collab, because that's what you're doing. You're doing a lot of, and we'll play some of your tracks as we go along, and we'll we'll have a listen to them and see what they're like. But it's quite interesting what you've done with your music and how you've become the king of collab. So do you want to tell us about that a bit, and then we'll listen to it.
Yeah. Well, I've written 3 of my own albums, all kind of electronic, melodic stuff. I wrote that kind of for TV soundtracks and for programs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And last June, I was just considering maybe getting someone to sing over one of the tunes just to see what had happened. And I was lucky enough to bump into Luca online, and we worked together on the first one, which was called I'm All Right. And I've just been trying to release another collaboration every month since then. So I'm just rehashing my old tunes, really, to get as much value out of them as I can, being a northerner. Why use a tune once when you can use it twice and make twice as much money?
Hey, exactly. Well, not only that, you bring in another demographic, the other artists, listeners as well, which is a brilliant way of doing it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like you're doubling up your own audience and the people you're working with. You're just widening the sphere of people that can get to listen to your stuff and hear your stuff.
Yeah,
which has been perfect for me.
I think it's pretty cool, man. We're gonna have a listen to that in a minute. That first track, because it's good because we had a pre-chat the other day, which was nice. We don't normally do that, so we did discuss a few things then, didn't we? So we'll cover them again. But I've been really excited to talk to the people that we've been talking to on the Introducing, getting to know them, informal conversations, and it gives a different dynamic when you listen to the music when you speak to the individual and you get to understand what the individual's doing, why they're doing it, and who they're working with, etc., etc. So anyway, if you just joined us on Duggystone Radio, we've already started on Mixcloud. If you listen to this on a rerun, that'll make no sense, or on YouTube or whatever. But we're simcasting live on Mixcloud. That's where we do these shows, and we're also on Duggystone Radio. So you'll be able to. We're talking to Sean Buckley, the king of collab, and what we're going to do, we're just talking about his first track that he did as a collaboration, and we're going to give that a spin. So if there's any questions, if you're on Mixcloud, drop them in, but if not, we'll just keep chatting away. We've got lots to talk about, and this is the first track. It's called I'm All Right. We'll be right back.
My mate called, hadn't spoken in a bit, felt nice to talk and to catch up. When he asked how you doing, I admit I dropped my guard, random stuff just came out. I never sleep and I live in my garage, there's a look in my eye that says don't ask. Between a stench of beer and the scent of tobacco, people turn away when I walk past. I'm okay, I'm just fine, mate. I'm like this all the time, mate. Put it all on the line, mate. Think I'm losing my mind, mate. I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright. Fighting in a demons and I'm losing the battle. My flag is flying a half-mast. Need things to change, but it's too much to tackle. And most days I can't be arsed. I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright. to change, but it's too much to tackle. And most days I can't be on. I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright.
I'm all right as well. That's an absolute banger, mate. Absolute banger.
It's not a bad one to start with, is it?
No, it's good, that, mate. It really, really is. It's, yeah, I like it. It's upbeat. It's fun. You know what I mean? The drumming in it and everything is fantastic.
Yeah. I was lucky as well with Luca because he did a little bit of production on the work I'd already done because I wrote all the music. He did a little bit of that just so it fitted in with his lyrics, but he also made a video as well that's well worth a watch. It's on YouTube. It's brilliant. It's well worth having a look at.
I wish we'd have said that the other day because I like putting the VT on. Do you know what I mean? I like putting the VT on. So we'll find that and share that. You have to send it to us or tell us where it is.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I love it. So what got you into music? What got you into creating tracks like you've been doing?
Oh, right. I've been into music. Well, I've always been into music since I was a kid, since I first heard Adam Ant. Adam Ant had two drummers in his band, and I was like, how does that work? And since then, I've been kind of interested in music. But I've always written or DJ'd, I've managed bands, I've been involved in the Manchester scene for a long time. But it was like 2017 when I got a free iPad with a phone, and I just decided to have a look at Garageband on the iPad and see, I wonder what this is like. And wow. I've written everything on Garageband since then.
On the iPad?
I don't use anything else. I made a conscious decision. Everything I write, I was going to use one DAW, and it's GarageBand. So it was actually a piece of free equipment to me, and GarageBand itself is a free app on there. So you don't need to spend money to have equipment. You know, if you've got an iPad or an iPhone, you've got the same studio I've got, and I've been, writing stuff.
That is unbelievable because I've done something. We've not done any since Christmas, but I was doing another project with a chef. So basically, he's from Manchester, so we go around, try food and what have you. And I made a decision because I can edit in my studio here on Final Cut Pro, but it's dead time consuming. So I made the conscious decision that I wanted to go light. So I video it all on my iPhone. I've got some Bluetooth microphones that we have on each, so we've got good sound quality. And then I edit it all on the iPad.
Yeah. I used to have like loads of different software that I stole from Pirate Bay years ago. But my laptop was just full of different tracks. And now just with GarageBand, it's so much easier for me. I mean, it'd be easier. I could probably do more complex and more difficult stuff having more equipment. But I don't think I've used up the resource yet. So I'm still going to keep using the GarageBand until I get loads of money and I can buy something better.
I think that's interesting what you said, because a lot of people think, I need X, Y, and Z. I need to spend thousands. It's a bit
people are still amazed. Even musicians I work with are amazed that when they say you can't have done all that on GarageBand. And I mean, a lot of it is I'll save something like some of the preset live loops on GarageBand, and I'll just change the key, change the tempo, transpose a few things, edit a few things, because I've got knowledge of using other software packages.
Right.
And I think that's been the thing for me with GarageBand. It's not like I go in blind, because I've used Reason, and I've used Fruity Loops, and I've used Acid, and loads of other different DAWs. But when I go in there and use that, it helps you. It's a really nice piece of software.
Yeah.
And again, for people doing podcasts and stuff, because you get an hour recording time, so you can record everything, stream it live, and it directly links to SoundCloud. So I mean,
I never knew that.
No, it's good for doing stuff like that.
I knew that. I might have to have a look at that myself. I did back in the day, years and years ago. I did actually do a couple of tracks that I won't say they were the best in the world, but I wish I'd have kept at it like you've done with on software. I really try, you know what I mean? But it's not easy. I think you've got to really keep going until you find your vibe.
Yeah. I mean, especially like software like I use, it's quite easy to have something that sounds okay for a little bit, but turning that something that sounds okay into a song or a tune or 3 minutes or something interesting is a little bit more complex. It takes a little bit of time to get that, and I think you need that musical know-how. But again, it's it's a great introduction for people, I think. And again, I've been, like I say, when I've been trying to send stuff to people to work on, when I just say, oh, yeah, it's just a Garageband project, I can just send you everything I've got in one click. And they're like, whoa, no, I didn't know you could do that. But again, it's just using new technology.
Yeah.
And I'm an old bloke who's kind of up to date with using this. When there's kids picking up guitars going, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could do that.
I know. I always try to keep ahead of the curve, and some of the stuff I do, people are like, "Oh, are you doing that?" And it's like all the stuff we've got in here built. And you're the same. I started off with me a MacBook, a laptop, yeah, and a USB microphone. That was that's how I started, and I started from then. Doing interviews, doing a podcast. Then I wanted to do some music, so I moved to a little tiny mixer, which is great to start off with, and something you can just bang in your bag and a couple of leads.
Yeah.
And then I've progressed to what I've got now. So if people come in here, they'll probably go, bloody hell, look at all the stuff you've got. But I've built it.
I know, look what you get.
I've built it up over years. You know what I mean? It's took me, I don't know, it's took me quite some time. It's probably took nearly 10 years to get to this point. Do you know what I mean? Buying bits and upgrading. Oh, I need that now. And why? Wife coming. Why do you need any more screens? I went, well, I've only got 3. I could probably do with another one. And she's like, yeah.
Yours needs an extra one.
Yeah. Well, I have one up on the wall and it monitors my cameras, so I've got that one as well. So I've got 4 running.
See, I've gone the other way because I was around one of. I went out to someone's house to do some music one night, and they were we were doing stuff, and they sort of said, "Oh, I want to come around to your studio one day." I was like, mate, it's in my pocket. And I just pulled my phone out. I went, this is everything I use.
That's mad.
It just didn't come.
That's mad. I'm gonna have to have a. I'm intrigued myself. I am going to check out. So if you're out there watching this, right, be inspired by Mr. Buckley, the Mintball, the king of collaboration. Go and get GarageBand on your iPad and see what you can produce. Send it in to us. Upload it to the artist submission. We'll have a listen to it. Also, he's collaborating with people. He's in high demand now. So if you might be able to tap him up for
yeah. If anything's good, send it across and I'll see what we can do with it. If I can't work on it, I know people that can. So it's one of those. It's always good to share, especially something. And sometimes it's the innocence of people who just their first effort is usually better than someone who'll spend years and years and years.
Yeah,
I've got to that point now where I find it difficult to finish a tune off. When I first started, I was like, if anything hit 3 minutes, it was done. That kind of, I'm happy with that. And sometimes it is, the more you do stuff, the more kind of it's difficult to let go of things.
Yeah.
But I'm happy because I've already released 36 tunes on my 3 albums. So I'm just hoping to get 36 collaborations done. Or in an ideal world, I'd like 12 collaborations of each of my 36 tunes. It's
going to work. It's going to happen, mate, I tell you.
And again, that's just better for streaming and for sales. The more music you've got out there.
And I like that because we said it before about opening the door. You potentially got one of those artists or one of those taking your track and putting in another dynamic to it. Potentially could catapult that one. We might just be one of your tracks out of how many you produce that becomes the one that everyone goes, wow, this is good. Is there any more? And then that's it. So fingers crossed with that.
That's it. The thing is, you've got to be careful because, like I say, if you've got one good tune, people always want to know if you've got more. So it's always good to get discovered once you've got a catalogue behind you.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm getting to that point now where I've been doing collabs since last June, so I think I've got about 10 set up now. Each one I'm really happy with. Everyone I've worked with, like Luca, Chris James Willows, Laura, Joe Peacock, 3 Little Wolves, Shop Window. I've got a few more on the go, but I've been lucky enough to work with great artists.
Yeah,
and a lot of it was just like polite pestering, which I've told a few people that's how I kind of get stuff done. It's if you pester people politely, you get more. But it works. Like I say, if you've got to understand who you're talking to, not just go, all right, dickhead, have a listen to this. It's kind of, mate, I'm doing something like that. Do you want to have a listen to this? Because I can't quite like that. And, it's networking. But again, you've always got to be polite. And again, I think it works out.
Yeah, I like what's going on in the genre at the minute and in the underground scene, the indie scene, however you want to categorise it. We
need a proper name for it because that's the thing. There is a scene going on, but we haven't got a proper name. I think if you had a proper name that we could start pushing, it's...
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because like the new wave of the new wave or
it needs to start with Duggystone of something.
Just put as found on Duggystone.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And I think between us, I mean, I've just interviewed this morning the guy that's done the CD, which you think,
Bits and Pieces,
and you think, and so together, there's lots of little things all coming together to make this movement, and there's definitely needs to be a movement, because the trouble is, you with a lot of genres, if you say, oh, indie, there's an indie show, everyone's head goes to, oh, it's Oasis, it's the Smiths, it's the Charlatans, it's So but it's not. It's independent music, isn't it? It's independent.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I struggle with as well, because I'm not a typical singer-songwriter, and I don't write into one genre. Like I say, of the music I've written, there's like a scary tune, a dub tune, I've got some jazz, space pop, indie, pop. But again, it's weird, but when you write on your own, you're not specific to a genre of the people you're working with. It's kind of, as soon as I touch a key, it's kind of where the next key goes to could be what the tune sounds like.
Yeah. So
sometimes it's difficult to be narrowed down to not have a genre, but other times I like the fact is that I just write popular music, hopefully, that people like, and that's what I do, and try to tell as much of it as I can.
Definitely, and it's been great to get, because we're the same. We've discovered you through the people that we've been interacting with on Twitter, and then your Three Little Wolves track we liked, and was like, oh, that's Sean Buckley, let's talk to Sean Buckley. So we're making the links, and you're right, and that was a pestering, because she hates me saying it. Janice in the background, heading up the street team, is like a dog with a bone, and she will. She's Janice like, great. we want you, and then she's the same with me, and it's great. And we need the energy, and I think there's a lot of energy at the minute around the scene. So, I think we'll have another track. This is your second track, which is called Pull. Do you want to tell us a bit about this? Anything?
Once I worked with Luca, I got a message from the next person to actually message me about doing a collaboration was Chris James Willows. And again, I didn't know him before I did a track with Luca. And what I started doing now is sending the tracks to the people I'm working with. Chris actually just bought the track on iTunes and went, I bought it, I'll do something for you. And again, it's one of those that I thought, all right, mate, good luck with that. And about a week later, he sent me this tune, and he has the nicest voice I've ever heard. And again, when I've been passing it around, we were sending it across, people were commentating on the vocal and who he sounds like and what he sounds like. But he's turned a little kind of melodic little tune that I wrote into like the best Bond theme that's never been written.
Excellent. Because
Paul's brilliant.
The only thing on that one, and it's like the next one we're going to play after that, it doesn't reference that artist. Is there a reason for that? It just says Sean Buckley. I've got the right track, haven't I?
Is it Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's sometimes I use a shitty platform to release my music, and again, they make a lot of mistakes, and I've had issues with that. But it's
so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't playing the original, and you'd be like, why didn't you play the proper one, you knob?
No, the original's called Melt.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is nice. Again, I always try and change the original name, so again, it's two tunes, so I get twice as much for it. I'm not daft.
Yeah, I tell you what, they call us stupid from Salford, but we're not. We'll have a chat about.
We'll
have a chat about that. Let's have this. Paul. We're right back with Sean Buckley.
I'm David Attenborough. Although I'm 94 years old, I've learned how to use Instagram because our planet is in grave...
You look at the phone, David.
Instagram.
Oh, my.
I had to have that jingle.
I like that.
He says, mate, Instagram. I love that. If you don't mind me saying, there's elements of Tubular Bells in that track to me.
Right.
It just sort of dragged me to the ball. Oh, it's almost like a little, not the sense the same, but it's just sort of got could almost go into Tubular Bells with that one.
Yeah. When I started just doing my music, one of my old friends who I used to manage the band he was in, he said some of my music sounded a little bit dark. And I was going, I don't know what you mean. But the more I listen to kind of stuff, you can see some of my influences are from like darker pieces. But I know what you might, there's a little undercurrent as well that is kind of like, oh, where's this going to go?
Yeah, and you're right.
It's kind of, I don't know if I'm doing it, but I must be a genius because I don't know I'm doing it.
You are a genius. That could be right. I can imagine. I'm picturing that now on one of these dramas, you know, where I don't know, but it'd even fit nice on like one of the Scandinavian ones, you know, where the bridge or something like that. It's got that.
Well, that's my main motivation to write a lot of my music was theme tunes for programs that hadn't been written yet. You know, it's kind of like everyone had a little story without the words and stuff. I mean, that Chris doesn't really change a lot of the music on my original song. He just added the words, but turned it into a beautiful Bond theme. You know, but if you listen to it on its own, there's such a difference. And again, it's the same piece of music, but it's amazing. That's what made me think that if somebody else did lyrics for it, it could be a completely different genre, a completely different feel.
Yeah.
With the same piece of music, you can actually have two, you know, completely separate elements and two completely different songs, which I want to try and get to a point where someone does. I've got two people who've done two versions of the same piece of music, but you know, completely spectrum apart of what they end up with.
That's interesting. And Janice has said should do a collaboration with the Test Card Girl. I think you should. She's got a real distinctive sound and voice and everything. So I contacted her the other day, just to see where we can go to. And I sent her a few tunes. I sent her a message saying, I can send you something. Do you want a slow one or a fast one? Keeping in mind, I've only got one slow one. So she went, you might as well send me a fast one then. So we'll have to see what happens there. Cool.
But that's the nice thing as well. A lot of artists are open to doing collaborations. And the more I do and the better people know me for, it's easier to get more people to do it.
It's cool, mate. It's cool. And we had a good chat the other day because we're both from the same neck of the woods, which is really interesting. And that's what I wanted to chat with you because of that. You know what I mean? That was one of the things. It's from Manchester. It's from Salford, and whereabouts was it you grew up? So for everyone, so they know whereabouts.
I grew up in Swinton.
Yeah.
And moved to Eccles when I was like 16, 17, and stayed there till I went to university when I was like 20, moved to Wales.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, I'd always lived around there, never been anywhere until I went to Wales. It was kind of like, I'd maybe go to Manchester once a week on the bus. But I just thought Salford was it. You know, it had everything. It had the precinct.
Yeah, that's an interesting place as well. The precinct.
Yeah, the precinct and the Bridgewater Canal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a place that's created quite a lot of stuff on it. You know, a lot of musicians from that sort of area, and there's, you know, I think that comes from where people want to sort of get out or do better, or they see something and they're just not happy about.
Well, the musician. My biggest influence, musicians-wise, are New Order and probably the Happy Mondays.
Yeah,
both from Salford. Like Paul and Sean Ryder went to my secondary school.
Wow.
So they'd left by the time I got there, but you know, when they write stuff about, you know, their influences when they were a kid, I actually understand it because I probably wander around the same streets they did, and you know, it's one of them that. It's funny how bands kind of influence you, but it's bands from your hometown that, and you know, it's one of those that you just want to support. And again, I end up sounding a lot like New Order, which is kind of without even trying to. Especially my new single, "Forgotten." A few people have said it sounds like a new Order track.
Well, we've got that in a bit.
Well, yeah,
New Order.
We'll listen to that in a bit.
New Order were brilliant, and I think it's overplayed now. But Blue Monday, as an example, is just. But you can get fed up with it, can't you? Because everyone, let's put this on, and but they were brilliant. They were brilliant. Absolutely. Manchester classics.
Blue Monday and the 12-inch version of Rock for Luck by Happy Mondays, you wouldn't have white blokes dancing in clubs. I mean, that was the whole point of the 90s, and even now, it's kind of those two tunes more or less got people up and dancing. Where you used to go to a nightclub in a shirt and tie, they got to a point where I was going to nightclubs in t-shirt and shorts just for dancing all night, you know, and it's those two records were very influential how things changed. And you have to give a lot of props to Vince Clarke out of Erasure and Depeche Mode for doing that Happy Mondays 12-inch mix, because without that I was kind of going, this is just a, you know, I like the Mondays because they went to my school, so I had the first album and the first few singles. When Rock for Luck came out, it was like, whoa, this is a big banging tune, and so yeah, it just all went crazy from there.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's excellent, mate. You're right. It's and that was a big change in the 90s, wasn't it? I remember, you know, all the scene at the time, and the, you know, Blur Away, Oasis, and all the other bands that were coming through, and I think there's something quite special about that. Even though my time was the 80s, when I was like a teen, my teenage was 80s. I've got bored of that now, but the 90s, it felt like a real change was coming with music, wasn't it? And I think that's what we got from bands.
No, but in the 80s, again, it was still, you had New Order, you had the Smiths, you had the Stone Roses, the Chameleons. I mean, like 5 great bands from Manchester who people forget were like going in the 80s.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, 80s actually.
Music was shit. I mean, I was still listening to the Chameleons, you know, Echo and the Bunnymen, the Icicle Works, early U2. Brilliant stuff. I mean, that was, again, it's kind of like out of time, but again, it was kind of the start of where everything else has gone.
Yeah.
But there's always been good music. But again, it is kind of every 20 years, the scene comes back, doesn't it? And then the sort of the general public are aware of what's going on, which is what we need to do now.
Yeah, or it reinvents itself into something else. A bit like I've really got into discovered liquid drum and bass over the last few months, and I don't even know what it was. But for me, I believe that's if that's. I used to live in Holland, and I was really into Dutch trance, totally different sound. And to me, liquid drum and bass is like an evolution of Dutch trance. It's very similar. And I think I definitely think there's something with what's going on at the minute, and we just need to get out to the general populace so that they can get on board with it and go, wow, yeah, this is good, I'm liking this. Especially the people that were into the 90s sound. A lot of them are still stuck in that, not saying tracks on actually, but there's because how some of this evolved, and how we started doing Dougie's Tommy Dustbin was, I was saying actually on some of my shows I was playing a Manchester classic and a Manchester, I was saying there's got to be bands out there that are like this now, you know. Why not create something like a show that's a bit like the Hacienda, but online, which is a modern version of that, showcasing, and let's hope that one or more break through. That's what we're trying to do.
That's all about, isn't it? It's just to share stuff. But again, I always think music is timeless. You know, you might write a piece of music that no one hears, or, you know, it's kind of undervalued, but that doesn't mean in 15, 20, 30, 40 years time someone's going to go, fuck me, that's brilliant. And that's all I want. You know, it's kind of like deep down I love to be a millionaire and be able to not work on the head, but again I'm going to retire in 15 years time anyway. But it'd be nice just someone just to go, that's a really good piece of music, and that's kind of the main thing for it. But again, you get a lot of bands who will get together and split up because nothing's happened for 6 months, which is just weird. I mean, I used to manage bands around Manchester and play night and day in the Roadhouse and the Band on the Wall. And a lot of bands will give it like 12 months and go, oh, it's not working. We're not famous yet. Knock it on the head. And it's not about that.
It doesn't work like that.
You know, translating the music you create together and then just leaving it for posterity. You know, but the amount of bands who go, oh, I should be famous now. What's the point of this? And then getting a job somewhere.
Yeah, I think... I think you bang on, because a lot of stuff I've done podcasts that have been going for years, of doing videos. They're all out there. So it's
very rare that something is an instant hit. Even like overnight successes have usually been doing stuff for 15, 20 years before they come overnight successes. You know, it's just because you get discovered and you're new to a lot of people doesn't mean you're new. But I'd still like that. You know what I mean? Fucking hell.
Oh yeah, it'd be great, mate. But I mean, I'm doing it like a lot of people. Is you want to leave a legacy, don't you? That I was actually here, So part of it is I'm doing this because I was actually, just so you know, I was here. This is me. You know, people... I
think that's what everyone wants to, don't they? Everyone wants to leave a mark or something. So I mean, the thing with music is now, like I say, if you Google me, even though I was quite surprised, there's a lot of Sean Buckleys in the world, but if you put Sean Buckley music, it's kind of I'm there and it's a trace of me, which is nice. You know, out of a population of 70 odd billion people on the planet, just to know that you're making a little mark, kind of keeps you going, keeps you inspired.
Yeah.
But I think that's what everyone wants to do, isn't it? Everyone wants to make the marker just to prove they've been there and done it.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing my limelight with as many talented people as I can, so it rubs off on me.
Exactly. Vice versa. So I'll tell you what, we'll have this next track, which is Rudge. Yeah? Rudge.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah? Any story behind this?
Well, I think I released this last November because I think it was the only month where I didn't have a collaboration finished off. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll just write myself a new tune. And I wrote this in about an hour one night. And it's probably my favourite solo tune. It's just got a really nice feel to it, really upbeat. And I'd written like 3 or 4 jazzy pieces, and then it's not shit jazz. It just kind of makes you feel a little bit kind of like jazz. Nice. But it is kind of an acid jazz kind of groove. It's more
we
upbeat.
talked about this the other day, didn't we? Yeah, I said you've got to use that. Yeah, definitely. Because I
remembered that.
When someone said...
No, but it doesn't sound like a jazz piece, but it's mostly a saxophone piece. And again, if you sort of said to anyone writing dance music, I know what you want. You want a 3-minute saxophone solo. But you're fucking daft, mate. But yeah, give it a listen. It's a buzzing little tune.
But sometimes those crazy ideas. What do you mean I want that on there? It just doesn't sound right, does it? But if people say to me, jazz and roll, I don't want to play any bleeding jazz on my show. Jazz and opera can get kicked to the curb. I can't be arsed with that. Yeah. But having said that, there'll be some jazz music. And we did have a listen to this the other day, and I said to you years ago in the 80s, there was a band, they probably packed up now, there was a band called The Stems that I saw on a couple of things, and I searched for them, but I can't find any of the music anywhere, but I really liked the sound. They were like a really funky jazz sound, and I thought, I like this. So anyway, without
I was arguing about this. There's a band called Senses who were on Twitter the other day asking about the saxophone being the shittest instrument in any song, and I was going, hey lads, I've got 4 pieces with saxophone on. And they're going, yeah, your stuff's different though, isn't it, Sean? But in general, they were kind of letting me off because, again, I use it quite nicely.
That for me, I think is terrible because some of my favourite tracks have got saxophone in. And I'll tell you what, go on, you listen to early UB40 with Brian Travers, who we actually had on Duggystone Reggae Show.
Yeah.
I think, especially in the reggae vibe, what an absolute instrument! It just.
Well, that's where it came from. It came from the two-tone and the reggae side, didn't it? But there was a period where every song had the middle 8 was a saxophone break, and again, it's probably the same one bloke who was just playing the same riff over and over again. But it needs to come back. But again, sometimes, like the way I've used it as a bass note, is kind of like how it works, and you don't think of it as a shitty middle 8. But yeah, give it a play. We'll see how it goes.
We're having it now, people. We're at Sean Buckley's. Mad for it. Hey, it's buzzing, this, people. Buzzing. We'll be right back straight after this. Shit saxophone coming up. Can't believe I'm playing jazz. Never mind. Loving it. Loving it. There you go. So we're with Sean Buckley, and there you go. Crappy saxophone sound, according to Senses, who are in Coventry. I'll go and find them and grab and gouge them for you because, I think I need to get them on the station. They're going to come on.
No, they're a good group of lads, Senses. There's a fair few out there. Like I say, there's a nice circle, but again, you can find everyone that's kind of interacting who's nice to each other. There's a good, probably 24 bands now that are just, doing well on their own, but it's just nice to interact and kind of like, there's no snobbery, like I say.
Yeah.
I chat with young bands, like 4 or 5, 20-year-old lads, and I'm a 51-year-old bloke. But again, it's still kind of like we're all just chipping in and doing a little bit. And as long as you've got a sense of humour and you're polite, it's just, again, I think because I was lucky, because I used to manage bands, I wasn't afraid to go into venues and say, all right, mate, can I get my lads a gig here? And a little bit of bullshitting. So I've got that kind of bravado. But again, a lot of it is the worst thing that can happen is someone will say no. In most cases, people don't realise they're saying no, so you've just got to keep asking. Yeah. Again, I'll just keep pestering people until they either say no or get an injunction out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a lot of things in life, isn't it? If you don't, the people that try, talk about relationships as well, and there'll be some people that lads, or that you think, how do they keep getting them girls? You know what I mean? Back in the day, because they've probably had 100 no's, and then one's gone, yeah, all right, then let's have a crack, let's go for it, and that's
what it's all about. Again, because it used to be a case of I'd write a piece of music, and I'd wait for that one piece of music to be discovered by someone amazing. The best thing to do is write 36 pieces of music and just tell everybody you've got 36 pieces to have a look at. Just keep pestering and just keep badgering people.
Yeah.
And again, don't be afraid to contact the same people, especially with Twitter, because again, it's kind of like there's a lot, there's a lot of DJs, and you get access to, I send stuff through to Tom Robinson at Six Music. He's played a lot of my stuff, and there's like John Kennedy at XFM, Chris Hawkins at Six Music. Jim Bob at XFM. A lot of people will, even if it's not their radio stations can't play it, they'll still listen to your music and still give you feedback and still appreciate you sending stuff.
Yeah. Or Kurt Pickstone at Duggystone Radio.
Oh yeah. Well, you've been supporting my music for a while. I mean, even going back a while, it's a case of I think nearly every collaboration I've done, it's been picked up and played on the station, so it's always been appreciated.
Well, we do, and that I think someone, if you was talking about it, or someone else was talking about it today about, it was this morning's interview about albums, and what I think's right and why a lot of people don't release the albums anymore, full albums, is because for like us, we're looking at the download, we're looking at the streaming platforms, what's fresh. Now, if someone releases an album today, might have 10, 15 tracks on there that are all brilliant. But the rest of the world's moved on from that one session from it. You need
the only thing, I don't release an album if it was physical, if it was on CD or vinyl. Yeah. There's no point doing an online album anymore. There's no point doing EPs. Because my first release with Luca, we did I'm All Right. We did a B-side of it called Dodgems and released them on the same day. Fucking stupid idea, because we just halved our market. The best way, just like I say, just keep releasing stuff. And so if you make enough money to release stuff digitally, get the money together and release a CD. That's what I want to do is when I've got, say, 15 or 20 collaborations, I can whittle it all down to, like, say, 12, 14 tunes to whack on a piece of vinyl. But it's paid for itself by the streaming. I don't want to be out of pocket. And again, I'm not out of pocket. I make more money streaming than I actually pay the platform. So I'm kind of like 40, 50 quid a month up. I'd love to be 500, 600 quid a month up or $5,000. But like I say, I'm getting 50 quid a month now from streaming, which is not a lot. But
no, you're getting 50 quid more than I'm getting from streaming.
Beforehand, like I said, when I just did my music, I was getting a £5 a month. Yeah. So with the collaborations, I'm averaging about 10,000 streams a month now, which beforehand I was averaging about 2 streams a month.
Yeah.
So it is, like I say, the more effort you put in, the more work you do, you can expand your market. And you can see that, in fact, if it does change, we get more money for streaming, be brilliant, but you've still got to be on there, you've still got to be shifting numbers, and you've still got writing stuff people are asked about. But again, I've seen little bands like Apollo Junction went from kind of scribbling about to getting 500,000 views in a day.
Oh, they're brilliant. They're awesome. And we've had them on the show. As well, and they were fantastic.
You've had all the good ones. You've had all the great bands.
Yeah, we have now. We've had you on, haven't we? We had you.
Yeah. There's probably a few solo performers, like John Mitchie or Luca, Chris, James Willows. Dean Dovey, you might be able to get on. But you're getting Jen Tennant's on soon, isn't he, as well?
And we've had him on. Had him on. We've had Jay Tennant on. I've even got his jingle and everything. So, but on the thing is, if anyone's out there, we do two things. We do these, which are a full blown one, when an artist has got several tracks or they've got video. They've got a bit of a back catalogue to do and talk about.
A proper one.
And then the mini ones that we do on Dougie's Atomic Dustbin are for those artists that maybe have got one or two tracks out, or they're just starting out. So if there's any of them that you know and you want to push them our way, and we'll have a chat with them, does that make sense? Because then it's just a short interview for about 10 and 15 minutes just to get to know them, and then guess what? Hopefully they come back and do a bigger one when they've got a load more music.
Yeah, but as soon as they message me, Janice will be finding them and Janice will be going after him. So
no, she's all over it. Now, we have a couple of standard questions that get asked, the bonkers questions, but we've asked them on every show. They started on the first one. Now, the first question, because I don't do questions, we normally just do a chat, but the first one always comes in from Dan from the Reggae Show, and he's really passionate about this, and we need to do something online with a campaign. King-size pot noodles. Should they have a king-size sachet? I can't even say it. Sachet. I think that's where it gets me to it. Because they come with a regular one. He says, what's that all about?
You see my cup?
Oh, you into your pot noodles? Dan will love you forever. He does a Reggae Show.
Size, yeah. And I must have a pot noodle every day.
Really? Salford, proper Salford. I can't.
Proper Salford. That's posh food for me.
I can't stand them. I remember when they came out back in the day, and my mate was eating them. And what is that? He went, it's pot noodle race.
I remember the day I had my first pot noodle. It was in 1977, and it was the day I went to see Star Wars. How future was that?
Man, that
was like I've seen Star Wars having a pot noodle on the same day.
Dry food, like space food, wasn't it? Dry, put water in it.
Space food that I saw in space film. It was the future.
So do you have, what's your favourite pot noodle then? Whilst we're on the pot noodle subject.
Old school, it used to be beef and tomato. But recently, since I've changed jobs, I've been going to a little co-op around the corner from where I work because there's nothing else there.
Yeah.
I've got into original curry, which is it's a bit of a ground share for me.
And you're right. A mate of mine, when I used to work in Trafford Park, and you know where that is. I used to work. I used to work at in Access. So I used to go to John's Diner for dinner every day. Oh man, John's Diner. Anyway, before we get to that, because I used to work on a contract for Kellogg's. That's what I used to do. Yeah. And one of the guys he used to always have. He used to always have a curry pot noodle and about seven rounds of bread and make several sandwiches of it. So do you have butties of it? Of course, yeah. I don't even work because it's like a shared office, and I work with a few girls, so I do poshing work. I just slurp it and then drink. Sod that, mate. Sod that. But John's Diner was phenomenal. The sandwiches from there, we must have spent a fortune in John's Diner.
One year, I think it was 2011, I was working because I worked next door to it, and we were doing car accessories. I think I had 7 or 8 Christmas dinners 1 week just because I went there every day. And Rob, who used to work behind the thing, I'd have a plate of food and he charged me 15p. It was brilliant. I love that place.
Yeah.
I started going in paying full price, and after about a year, mate, I came out about 15 stone heavier.
Yeah, it's great. It was a classic place. Classic, and the cheese that's on toast from there was just to die for.
I wonder if it's still there. I've not been up there.
No, I don't know.
It's 15, 20 years, but
it's a while since I've been there, and
but that's all it was. It was like the biggest industrial park in Europe. John's Diner, bang in the middle. There was nothing else. There was no shops or anything.
There was a club on there on Trafford Park, wasn't there? I'm sure it was Trafford Park.
There was a club, a pub, and a whorehouse all in the same block.
Yeah, lovely. I went to the pub. No, I'm sure it's a pub that what it did. I think you could go, and obviously it's nothing about our music, but I think the only reason you could go in on like a Wednesday night or something is because they served food. So they're classed as a restaurant, but they had an all night thing, and it was so you just go in £5 or whatever, a chicken, a basket chips or something, and it was a club.
Oh yeah, no, because I think it was for the dockers as well. Because I think it did it was open 24 hours or. This was going back 15, 20, 30, 40 years. I think it was always, it had its own kind of time frame for the workers coming off shift.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that place.
Great,
I
brilliant.
don't think it's there anymore.
No.
Which is kind of good.
There's no call for it. Whole houses.
What, pub club whole house? What do you mean?
I know. Amsterdam is just one big one, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's only half an hour away nowadays.
Oh, it's awesome, mate. I used to live in Rotterdam and used to go to Amsterdam a few times, so it was a good crack. I used to love it.
I remember going to Amsterdam and actually went in a coffee shop one day, and one of the lads serving behind the counter actually started laughing when one of my mates had been up to sort of chat to him. And I said to me, mate D, I said, "What did you say to the guy behind the counter?" I said, "I just came in. I went, have you got any breakfast weed?" And the guy thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. He just something light for the morning.
Breakfast weed.
When you think of it, you're like, I just want something a little bit light, just...
Yeah, that's just something to take the edge off.
Yeah, you just tell it to someone from Eccles who actually goes to Amsterdam and asks for breakfast weed.
Ah, it's fantastic. Well, we have it back home, do you know what I mean? Oh, that's brilliant. And I bet if you go back now, that same coffee shop's probably got it on the menu.
Oh, yeah.
Breakfast weed.
Breakfast weed, breakfast and luncheon. They do afternoon tea weed.
It's fantastic, isn't it? I love that, mate. I love it. Oh, before I forget in a bit, because we'll when we round off, we'll round off with your latest track and then we'll let you get on with your day. But can you do us a little jingle? We've not asked for that yet, have we? Over to you.
Oh, right. For my new song or just... Oh, right.
No, this is Sean Buckley and you're listening to Duggystone Radio. Something like that. There you go.
Hello, everyone. This is Sean Buckley, a.k.a. Mintball, and you're listening to Duggystone Radio. And you're listening with Kirk, the best DJ in the country.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're more than welcome.
When my jinglist gets older, that which is Eddie King, he'll take the best DJ in the world away from that, and that'll just go in the bin. That'll end up on the cutting room floor. Yeah,
it sounded a little bit like I said, the best DJ in the country. So yeah, you might have to edit that a little bit.
Mate, don't worry. He'll probably accentuate that.
Leave that bit in.
Accentuate that and make it. But because I mean, I think Janice is half. I didn't even look for any questions. She said that's your favourite album. What's your favourite album? She said, and who you're listening to right now.
My favourite album is probably "Strange Times" by the Chameleons. It's probably the album that's been with me the longest time. I love the Chameleons. I got to know Mark Burgess, the singer and bassist, a little bit a few years ago. And he's still out there playing the music, playing the tunes, and they're just great. They're a really good band if people don't know of them. They influenced Oasis quite a bit, but very melodic, very kind of just a great band. And also, it's the music of Jan Tiersen. He's the guy, if you've seen the film Amelie or Goodbye Lenin, he's the guy that did all the music for Amelie. Right. He's like a French composer, but he just uses like toy pianos, accordions, harps. It's what got me back into writing music. When I started hearing him in the soundtracks to Amelie, it was just that's the kind of music I wanted to write. So I've got that kind of descriptive, melodic, instrumentals, which is what I'm doing now. So I'd say his first 5 or 6 albums up into the Amelie album are inspiring. And again, it's nice going into a record shop and asking for French music. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm very cool.
Well, actually, you need to check out a French. I forget his name now. He's a French producer, and I play stuff all the time. He's producing. I think he's doing some he's doing some collaborations. House of Zeb, S-E-B. Check him out.
I think Luca might have known him. Well, I think Luca might have pushed it towards me as well.
When you talk about French, it's like, I really like him. I like his vibe. Yeah. His stuff's really good, and he's doing a lot of collaborations. It's the future, I think, man. It's the future.
Oh yeah, but that's it. I'm listening to a lot of new music, and again, being a 51-year-old bloke who's stuck in his ways, who likes like new wave, and I worked in the classical section of HMV for 5 years, so I've got a really good appreciation of classical music, but I am still listening to new music that my collaborators are playing, or new bands are playing that I want to work with. So again, it's Apollo Junction, Arcade State, Jay Tennant, Laura Jane, who I've worked with before she started doing her own stuff. It's kind of people who just get in the freedom to write their own stuff, and it's brilliant. And again, it's not constrained by any kind of record company or them telling you what to write, what to do. If you're on your own, you can write what you like.
Yeah, I think that's what's really good. Yeah. Cool. I mean,
Luca made a good point the other day. It's not about us all getting signed and being there. It's a case of we want the industry to come to us and license us, so we still have control of our own music, and the industry have to pay us to play our songs. That'll be, so we still have all the rights to our own stuff. We're still own individual artists, but we have to get the mainstream are just kind of so desperate for us that they'll pay per play or give us money license performances.
I think you're right. So we need to work behind the scenes on what this this genre is, or this, you know what I mean? And because I think,
oh yeah, but a lot of musicians just want to get signed, think that's the be all and the end all.
It's not,
and
though, is it?
It's not. Well, that's the worst thing to do, because it just ends up costing you money. Because as soon as you get signed, you get charged for everything. You know, if your A&R man is having a piss, and you'll get charged for that. If he's having a beer, you get charged for that. The best thing to do is never sell your publishing, never sign a deal, do it all yourself if you can, and then you get to a point where people are actually paying you to use your stuff. Only ever license stuff, never sell anything. I mean, that'd be my kind of advice, is
I love that.
Keep hold of everything.
I love that.
Because if someone wants to say, you get to a point where an advert comes after you or wants to use a piece of your tune that's popular, a record company will be charging 120 grand for that. And again, you're not going to see any of that. The best thing to do is keep hold of it. And even if you get 20 grand, you've got 20 grand in your skyrocket.
Exactly. I mean, and that might be the way it works, because the value to the value to the artist or the producer, it doesn't need to be as much, does it? It doesn't need to be
no.
200 grand, 100 grand.
It just needs to. And then again, I think it's better for people being creative, say filmmakers, people making adverts. If they can pay the artist a hell of a lot less than a publishing company, people's music is going to get used more. And again, I think that's a stumbling block for filmmakers, is knowing that it's, if you want to say a track by, I think when they were making the series Detectorists, Mackenzie Crook was a big fan of Johnny Flynn, who did the theme tune. He couldn't afford one of his tunes, and Johnny Flynn wanted to play one, so he said he just wrote a new tune. And so I said, you can have this. But his publishing company wouldn't let his music be used in something he wanted to be in, which just seems a bit weird. And again, he probably signed a publishing deal for a substantial amount, but not as much as he would have got for that one piece of music. So it's, be careful what you're signing and be careful what you're dreaming of. I always tell people. Yeah. Because at the moment, I own everything. I can release what I want when I want. And again, if anything comes through, it's all mine.
Yeah, and I'd like, what you were saying before, I'd like a lot of bands want to become successful and do tours and be whatever, but
you can do that yourself, though. If you've got the bollocks to hire a venue out, and if you can sell a venue out, do it yourself. I mean, you get 700-800 quid for filling out a 100-seater venue. If you do that a few times, you're laughing. But a lot of bands will wait for SJM or another kind of tour management company to come and give you a percentage, tell you where you're playing, and you're only getting 50 quid.
I'd quite like to. I always fancied setting something up, doing a little mini festival or a mini concert. I think it'd be fantastic. But brilliant. Well, we've still got a few minutes left, because I'm just looking at the time so that we can get your last track in. But we're all right, because it's a 3-minute track, which I'm looking forward to. But I'd love to see your. What I was trying to get out with that last point was, I'd like to see your music appear on an advert or a TV show. I think that would be fantastic.
I mean, that was my main influence when I started writing. It wasn't for the love of the music. It was to try and sell some stuff to adverts and TV, just so I don't have to go to work anymore, because I fucking hate going to work.
I know. Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, I'm fortunate I'm doing this. It'd just be nice to also become successful at it, if you know what I mean, and people to break through, because a lot of people are doing sort of similar stuff. But I'm just going to keep going, because someone's going to stumble over it, or you're going to get famous, or someone else is going to get famous, and guess what? We all go together. We all benefit from that.
Well, again, it's kind of the good thing about music at the moment is yourself. There's a few other stations and people on stations who are playing music and being positive. So again, hopefully you all get snapped up by radio too, and you're sitting in your big houses in a couple of years, getting you'll be replacing imagine that, you'll be doing Popmaster in a couple of years, replacing Ken Bruce.
Popmaster. I like you to about 5 seconds ago. Fucking Popmaster. But I get what you're saying. I do.
I mean, the slot. You be doing that the slot.
Yeah. Oh, Duggystone's on. Yeah, I see myself more as a Kenny Everett or a Steve Wright back in the day when he was proper. And he had Mr. Angry on. That's my sort of vibe. That's where I see myself, not Ken Bruce. I'll leave that to Eddie. Eddie's a Ken Bruce. I'm more out there, so you never know, dear. You never know what's going to happen. I'm doing it because I love it. I'm passionate about it, and I want to see other people succeed as well, and follow along. And whatever happens from now and over the next year or so, a couple of years, then let's see where this roller coaster ride goes.
Of course, it's fun, and like I say, it's just got to be upbeat. And sometimes you see a lot of people on Twitter are having a bit of a difficult time, so it's just a case of keeping positive and just looking after each other as well. But I think there's a lot of that. If someone's just not posted for a bit. People are asking where they are and what they're up to and what they're doing and getting involved, which I think is nice. It's a really supportive scene. I think it's a lucky time to be where we are, what we're doing.
Well, I'll keep in touch, and anything you produce, we will be sharing and we'll be playing it. I'd play your stuff without even listening to it because I know it'll be good. Does that make sense?
Hey, that's what I want. That's a mark of kind of.
I've done that with a few bands, where they've released stuff and I've gone, never heard of this before. I've just seen that they've released it and I play it because I know it's going to be good. I know the standard's going to be good. And you're not a million miles away from me. And the area of the country you live in, I adore it. I've been there a few times.
It's beautiful.
I love it, mate. I picked a trailer up there from the other week around your neck of the woods. And so if I'm out and about on my motorcycle or something's going on, I might give you a little shout and come and have a cup.
That's the one thing I've not mentioned. I haven't met anyone I've worked with. All my collaborations. Really? No, it's all been distance. I've not actually met a single soul. Oh. Which again is weird when you think about it, but we've been in lockdown. That's the point.
And it's opening up now. We can start getting into that. But if you're ever around near the Coventry area, give me a shout, and you can come into Studio One. You can bring your iPad, produce something here.
Well, yeah, that's not far. I mean, because I'm only in Ironbridge. It's not that far to Cov.
Yeah, but if you're ever about and you want to pop down or want to do anything, come here. You're more than welcome to come here, and we can do a show, or we can just even have a chat or whatever. I think it'd be fantastic. So
no, nice one, Kurt.
We can go and get all the Senses because they're up the road as well.
Yeah, go and give them a kicking.
Right, yeah, exactly. I'm going to let you get on with your day. Thanks very much for your time,
no, you're welcome.
Your honesty, your chat. It's been nice to talk to a fellow Mancunian on the show. Salford, yes, Salford. I corrected me there, but you know what I mean. If some people, where's Salford?
Everybody else, nobody knows what it means to us.
Where's Salford?
Were you born in Hope as well, Kurt?
In what? Hope Hospital?
In Hope Hospital.
Yeah, no frigging Hope. Yeah, Hope Hospital. Yeah, two of my sons were as well. So.
Oh yeah, stars. That's what I mean. When I moved to America in 2002, and I had a T-shirt that said "Born in Hope, live in Eccles." Americans didn't get it.
Oh man, you're right there as well. It's absolutely fantastic, great place. It's wonderful. Anyway, I'm going to let you get on with your day. We're going to finish off with this track, which is called "Forgotten." Do you want to tell us about that before we wrap up? Yeah,
again, it's another lucky piece. I sent a track over to Carl from the shop window, and he sort of wrote something back. And we've not used the original track. It's kind of, this song was inspired by the sound of that track. But Carl and Sid from the shop window did the guitar and the singing, and Sid did the backing vocals. I was going to leave the bass and the drums from my old track, but I asked Chris Willows to play bass in it. And I got the great singer-songwriter Jen Dixon to play drums on it. So they both added their bits. And I ended up with the song Forgotten, which sounds like an early New Order tune, I think. Yeah, I'm just trying to get it on the other thing. It does, mate. It's really good. Like it. So, we've been talking to Sean Buckley. Thank you, everybody. Nice to see you, man. You take care. And see you soon. And you. See you soon. Drop of a hat, I would be there with you. Trying to touch heaven, could you ever reach it too? I remember you and me like a movie scene. My forgotten friends, you've seen it. Time stood still, we've all stood still. Touch heaven, did you ever feel it too? I remember you and me like a movie scene. My forgotten friends, you've seen it. Time stood still, we've all stood still.
So that was Sean Buckley. How good was that? Really enjoyed that. It's nice to speak to someone from your hometown. I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed doing it. And the rest of these go onto YouTube. There'll be others that we've introduced. We've mentioned some of them in the show, and there's more planned, more to come. But if you want an interview that is a little bit different, it's not stuffy, it's relaxed, like two old friends having a chat over a beer or a coffee, that's what this show's all about. And if there's any of the bands or any music you like, go and find it, go and support them. I think Sean's very talented in what he's doing and how he's performing and his collaborations, which is wonderful. This has been Duggystone Radio's Introducing. I've been Kurt Pickstone. Come and find us on the station. Just say Alexa, open internet radio. Go to DuggystoneRadio.com, press the player or download the apps. And until next time, I'm out of here.